Listen, man, you know I'm such a fan of your work, but I have to say that you are exceptional in this movie.
Thank you.
You're so good. I have to know, you've read so many scripts. What was it actually like reading this one? Because it's so unique and different and very hard to quantify.
Yeah, and that really spoke to me, Steve, because I like movies that are original, that have that feeling of brand newness to them. I like movies that aren't afraid to tell a different kind of story. Uh, I said there are only 5 scripts where in 45 years of doing this, where I felt I have to make that movie. And those scripts are Leaving Las Vegas, Vampire's Kiss, Adaptation, Bringing Out the Dead, and Dream Scenario. I didn't want to change a word. Now, other scripts I've made have been great, but most, like Wild at Heart, it evolved. It wasn't necessarily on the page, or other movies I've made. But what also was at work here for me was that I could put some of my life experience in terms of my emotions into Paul Matthews. A lot of thought went into designing his look, even changing my voice, the way I dress, the way I walk, to be as far away from so-called me as we might think, so that you could lose yourself in the character of Paul Matthews. But emotionally, I remember feeling no sense of control over what was happening to me on the internet. Nicolas Cage loses his shit, all that stuff turned into a memification, cherry-picking freak-out scenes, meltdowns, without any sense of act 1 or 2 or how the character got to that crisis, and going, I can't stop this. This isn't why I became an actor. It's not why I made the movie. This is something new. And it wasn't until I read Dream Scenario that I said to myself, now I can take those feelings and I can apply them to something constructive. I would not have been able to play Paul Matthews and connect with you if I had not gone through that experience. That whole apology video, I meant it, man. That was me reacting to what was happening to my body of work through these mashups.
I'm very curious. When you're making something, you really don't know how it's going to turn out. And when did you realize, oh, wait, this is something special and people are really responding to it?
Well, I knew right away. This one I knew right away. I sat down with Kristoffer. We had coffee together a year before we even started working together. And I knew, because of the way he presented himself, his thoughts, the level of intelligence, the fact that he wrote this script, which again is so original, I knew that whatever we did, that something special would emerge. What the level of that specialness was, who can really say? But I knew that it would be a worthwhile effort.
I was in the world premiere at the Toronto Film Festival, and I felt the audience. I mean, I reacted very strongly, but I felt that audience. What was it like for you actually at that world premiere and having all those people, respond to your work?
Oh, it's great. I mean, you know me. I've been on the receiving end of tomatoes, and like Gary Oldman said, applause is never to be taken lightly. I was thankful. I really appreciated it. I was touched, and I loved it. And I'm glad you were there at that screening, because that was a fun one.
I also found fun is that you wear the Talking Heads suit, and they had a film at the Toronto Film Festival. It was just one of those full circles. I'm like, get the F out of here.
Fantastic coincidence. But I mean, you know me, Steve. You and I have spoken a million times, and we've talked about how I approach movies and what's important to me. So you know why this movie is so meaningful to me, because I feel like it's a perfect summation of everything I want to be doing right now.
Yeah, the other thing about this film, which I really, really dig, is that I was not able to guess what was going to be the next scene. And
that's beautiful. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, both you and I see a lot of movies, you probably more than even me. But one of the things is that, like, sometimes you just can guess everything. And there's no guessing. You're not going to know where this goes.
And I think you and I have a similar taste in that regard. I want to be surprised. It's like if I go have dinner somewhere, I want the chef to let me know what do you think is great. Just surprise me. I want to get knocked out by something I'm not expecting. I want a new taste. I don't want the same thing over and over again, you know. Now look at the comic book movie. I will say one thing about it, all right? To be fair, comic books by nature are episodic. As a child reading it, I want to get to the next issue. So what they're doing is just having the comic book experience applied to the movie-going experience. Okay, I can't wait for this one or that one. I want to see the new issue. Instead of reading it, I want to look at it. So that's truthful to the comic book experience. But that's not where I'm at. What I want to do is I want to keep doing the independently spirited dramas. I want to keep making movies that I, as a student, I'm not a master, I'm a student, will learn something from, which explains my whole filmography, which is why I did the adventure films, because I wanted to do something new and see if I could make it work. I don't want to play it safe, but the independent drama has always been where one can really take the chances and find something original and try something which may or may not work, but at least you're trying to hit that mark. And I'm happy to say that, in my view, Dream Scenario is a masterpiece. And what do I mean by masterpiece? Something which is the work of a craftsman that is so fine that nothing needs to be added, taken away, or altered. And I think that Kristoffer did something for his sophomore effort that is that, you know, and that's why I'm happy that, yeah, it came together the way it did.
People ask this question all the time, but I'm being very sincere when I ask this of you. You get offered, I'm sure, a lot of different scripts. Is there something, because you've done so much in your amazing career, that you are still anxious to do in terms of a genre or, you know, a type of character that you have not played?
I mean, the only genre that I don't think I've really done is the musical, and I don't think I'm necessarily the greatest choice for a musical, but it would be a challenge and it would be something that I might learn from. But right now, you know, I'm approaching 60, so my thinking is like, okay, what's the best usage of my time? You start thinking about things like time when you hit 60. You know, my dad left when he was 75, so I'm like, okay, what's the priority? Well, my daughter is the priority, and my kids, and I got to start thinking about what can I do to keep the mind fertile. I got to read more books, and then, you know, if there's something that comes along, let's say, you know, I get a call from a director, maybe it's going to be his last movie, you know, maybe that's interesting. Maybe I should do that with that person. Who knows? Or it's going to be her last movie. Whatever it is, you know, there are different criteria that go in. But the main thing for me really is to keep it as personal as I can. So I still have these conversations with you and you're still relating to or connecting with it in some way where it doesn't feel fake. You know, design of the look of the character, the movement, the voice, that's all craft, but the inherent emotion, I have to back it up with genuine life experience and whatever feelings I can apply to it. So you don't feel like I'm acting.
I know exactly what you mean. And sir, I'm out of time. I'm just going to say it's always a pleasure to talk with you, and you really are exceptional in this movie.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. I'll speak to you again soon, I'm sure.